Renjo has always believed that love is something meant for other people. He grows up without close friends. His parents divorce because they cannot get along, and because of that, he never develops any imagination about romance or emotional attachment. Due to this background, he naturally sees marriage as something distant, something far in the future, or maybe something that will never happen to him. That belief begins to shake when a beautiful Nordic girl suddenly expresses her feelings toward him and clearly says that she wants to marry him. By now, Renjo has already heard this intention from the same girl 6 times. Each time, his response is the same. He insists that he is only 16 years old and that legal marriage at such an age is not allowed in Japan. The girl, whose name is Luthi, explains that what she really wants is for Renjo to become her fiancé. Renjo understands that he would truly feel happy if this were a sincere confession of love. However, it soon becomes clear that Aino is not seeking a romantic relationship. She only wants the status of being engaged. All of this traces back to a few days earlier. Everything begins on an ordinary afternoon when Renjo returns home from school and stops by a familiar bookstore. In his view, the store has a good selection of books, though the shelves are inconveniently high. That same day, he notices another customer struggling in a similar way. That person turns out to be Aino Luthi, Renjo's classmate, a girl from Finland who usually keeps to herself and rarely interacts with others. Renjo wonders if she has also just returned from school like him. At the same time, he assumes that if he gets involved, she will probably reject him. Unexpectedly, Aino looks straight at Renjo, and their eyes meet. The sudden eye contact makes her lose her balance. She falls, but Renjo reacts in time and catches her. After that, he checks to make sure she's not hurt. Aino recognizes Renjo, which surprises him. He does not expect her to know who he is. He is even more taken aback when she shows that she knows his given name, Toru. Renjo realizes that it has been a long time since anyone has called him by his real name. Aino then signals that she wants him to let go, while Renjo points out that she is still leaning on him. She straightens herself and steps back. Renjo helped her instinctively without expecting anything in return. Instead of thanking him right away, Aino remains cautious and alert. Even so, Renjo does not feel disappointed, since he never expected gratitude in the first place. As Renjo is about to leave, Aino calls out to him and asks if he helped her because she was about to fall. Renjo is surprised, not by the question itself, but by how clear and fluent her Japanese sounds. He gives a short confirmation. At the same time, he notices something else. Aino's expression looks gentle and approachable, which is very different from how she appears in class, where she usually looks distant and emotionless. Aino then explains that Renjo should not misunderstand the situation, saying that she does not actually need his help. Renjo does not fully agree, but he feels that he may have disturbed her. His instincts warn him that getting more involved could cause trouble. Despite that feeling, Renjo offers to get the book Aino is trying to reach. He reasons that forcing herself again could be dangerous, and it would be faster for him to help than to call a store employee. Aino tells him the book is titled The Long Goodbye. Renjo recognizes the title immediately and identifies the author as Chandler. Aino asks if Renjo has read it before, and he explains that he reads quite often. At that moment, Aino's face turns red, and Renjo senses that this reaction does not match the image he had of her. Renjo takes the book and hands it to her. However, Aino points out that this does not mean she wants him to do everything for her. Renjo then moves to put the book back on the shelf, which makes Aino think he is being unkind. From Renjo's point of view, though, he feels that Aino is being unreasonable. Soon after, Aino becomes clearly pleased that Renjo helps her after all, and she finally thanks him. Renjo wonders if she is not used to saying thank you. Aino admits that pretending to be strong is one of her bad habits. Renjo thinks that it is not necessarily a bad habit if it helps her protect herself. He remembers how Aino always appears untouchable and alone in class, and he becomes sure that there is a reason behind that behavior. Even so, Renjo has no intention of getting any closer. Whenever he grows close to someone special, he becomes painfully aware of how ordinary he is. Aino repeats that acting strong is her way of protecting herself, and she calls Renjo a kind person. This catches him off guard, and he quickly denies it, believing that anyone could have done the same. Aino responds that even so, if Renjo is the one doing it, then it is enough for her. Renjo notices that Aino's eyes shine brightly, like precious stones. After watching her for a moment, he realizes that he has stayed too long. He says that he is glad he could help and then prepares to leave. Aino tries to stop Renjo as he steps out of the bookstore. At the same time, Renjo realizes that he forgot to buy the book he originally came for. Even so, he decides not to get involved any further. He feels that it's not his place. All he wants is to return to his quiet, ordinary, and uneventful life. At that moment, Renjo never imagines that he will end up being with Aino every single day. The thought never even crosses his mind. The next day, Renjo feels sleepy in class because he stayed up late watching anime and reading mystery novels. Even so, he forces himself to stay awake. Since the next subject, world history, is his favorite, while trying to focus, Renjo suddenly senses something strange in the air around him. He feels someone standing behind him. When he turns around, he sees that it's Aino. Aino approaches him and tells him that she wants to talk to him during lunch break. She then invites Renjo to eat lunch together. Renjo is immediately caught off guard. Around them, the other students witness the scene and react in disbelief. They never expect Aino to invite Renjo, a boy who is completely ordinary and barely noticed in class. Aino briefly assumes that Renjo might refuse. Renjo, on the other hand, sees the situation as a possible problem. He knows that one wrong answer could turn into something far bigger than he can handle. One of the students comments that Aino seems unusually close to Renjo since yesterday. Aino quickly denies it and explains that Renjo simply helped her the day before. This explanation shocks the others. Renjo adds that they only happened to meet at a bookstore and that he helped her take a book from a shelf. He then explains that when Aino almost fell, he instinctively supported her and steadied her body. The students react with genuine surprise after hearing that Renjo ended up holding Aino. Aino feels that she owes Renjo proper thanks for what happened. Renjo becomes confused as he does not think his actions were anything special. Aino insists that even if Renjo thinks it was nothing, she cannot feel at ease unless she thanks him properly. Because of that, she decides to treat Renjo to lunch and even tells him to choose the most expensive item in the cafeteria. Renjo does not know what to do. He understands that getting involved with a special and beautiful girl like Aino will surely bring trouble. From a logical point of view, refusing her offer seems like the smartest choice. However, Renjo notices how much courage it took for Aino to invite him. He starts to realize that the elegant image he has of her hides the fact that she is actually a shy girl who struggles with social interaction. At this moment, Renjo lacks confidence and wants to avoid unnecessary problems. Still, he feels that if he refuses her now, his self-disgust will only grow. He also believes that he did nothing important enough to deserve a full meal. As a compromise, he decides that he will only ask for a coffee from the vending machine after lunch. When Aino asks again because he stays silent, Renjo finally accepts her invitation, as thanks for what happened the day before. Aino looks relieved and grateful. Soon after, her expression changes, and she makes it clear that this lunch has no special meaning and is only a way to say thank you. Renjo says that he understands. Aino's face turns even redder as she strongly insists that he must not misunderstand anything and that she is not enjoying the situation at all. At that moment, Renjo realizes that he is seeing what is known as a tsundere attitude. He begins to wonder if Aino is actually interested in him, and if so, whether it comes from the bookstore incident or from some other reason he cannot yet understand. Aino then asks if Renjo feels happy about this, saying that most boys would probably feel pleased. She also wonders if Renjo is the same as other boys. Renjo admits that he is not any different. Aino takes this to mean that Renjo must also feel happy. Renjo starts to think that this moment may be a turning point in his life. He imagines that if he had refused Aino back then, the unexpected future where he becomes her fiancé would never have happened. During lunch break, Aino gives Renjo a choice between buying food at a convenience store or eating at the cafeteria. She says she will follow whichever option he chooses. Renjo notices that every small action she makes looks unexpectedly cute to him. He suggests eating at the cafeteria. Because Aino naturally draws attention wherever she goes, Renjo leads her toward a quieter area. He walks a bit too fast and leaves Aino slightly behind. When he looks back, Aino tells him that she is fine and that he does not need to worry about her. Renjo tells himself that Aino does not need to push herself so hard. Even though Aino says she is fine, Renjo still feels concerned about her. Through these small moments, he slowly realizes that Aino is actually very shy. Renjo thinks about this, and Aino eventually admits it herself. She says that she is shy, soft-hearted, and not good at being honest, though she insists that she is not a coward. Almost right away, Aino realizes that she has said too much, and suspects that Renjo tricked her into revealing those feelings. Renjo, however, understands that Aino simply spoke without thinking. Aino accepts this, and becomes embarrassed. At that point, Renjo becomes certain that she really is shy. Even though she looks stiff and cold on the outside, she is gentle and emotionally fragile on the inside. Renjo briefly wonders if he is being too direct with her. In truth, he wants to keep some distance from Aino. but he does not want to hurt her feelings. He then compares himself to her and realizes that he may be more of a coward than she is. Renjo admits to himself that he is shy, soft-hearted, cowardly, and unable to be honest. He even believes that he is more closed off than Aino. Aino, in turn, concludes that, deep down, the two of them are very similar and share the same weaknesses. Renjo disagrees. He does not think they are the same because he does not see himself as special like Aino, whom many students call the goddess Freya. Aino reacts with surprise and strongly denies being a goddess or anything special. When they reach the vending machine, they find that it is empty. Aino then focuses on choosing their meal instead. Renjo chooses set A, and Aino decides to order the same. She keeps a blunt tone and clearly says that this does not mean she is copying him. Renjo realizes that he expected himself to be much more nervous around the most beautiful girl in school. Instead, he feels strangely natural. He starts to suspect that when it comes to books, he and Aino probably share many interests, making them more alike than he first thought. Renjo glances at Aino, and she immediately notices his eye. He tells himself that there is nothing strange about it. There is no way he could admit that he is briefly captivated by her expression. Seeing Aino smile like that reminds him of a childhood friend who used to smile the same way before an incident eventually separated them. This memory makes Renjo wonder if getting closer to Aino will only lead to him being hurt again, just like in the past. As he looks at Aino standing in front of him, he feels that she is far too special, shining so brightly that rejecting her seems impossible. After waiting for a while, their set meals finally arrive. They choose a table and sit down. When the food is placed in front of them, Renjo prepares to step away to get a drink, but Aino stops him. At that moment, they run into Tamoka. Tamoka immediately points out that Renjo is rarely seen with a girl. Renjo also notices that Tamoka is alone. Tamoka explains that it is just a coincidence and adds that she does not always live her life alone, unlike Renjo. Hearing this, Renjo feels the need to apologize. Inside, Renjo grows tense and panicked. At a moment like this, he has met the person he least wants to see. Tamoka is the girl he hurt in the past, someone who eventually came to resent him. Tamoka then asks if Aino is Renjo's girlfriend. Aino responds by asking why it would matter if that were true. Renjo is startled, secretly hoping Aino would not answer that way. Tamoka implies that Aino should not get romantically involved with someone as hopeless as Renjo. Aino immediately pushes back, stating that Tamoka has no right to speak badly about Renjo since it is none of her concern. Renjo then explains that Tamoka is his childhood friend. Even as he says this, his anxiety grows. He fears that Tamoka might reveal something from his past that is supposed to stay hidden at school. Aino does not understand the concern, since Tamoka is only his childhood friend. Tamoka responds that their relationship goes much deeper than that. She then reveals that she is Renjo's former fiancé. Aino is visibly shocked. At the same time, Renjo's panic reaches its peak. This is his biggest secret, something that should never have been revealed. He feels that Tamoka has broken their promise to keep the past buried at school. Tamoka brushes it off, saying it does not matter because their engagement was arranged by their families. She adds that she herself no longer cares about it. She then claims that she understands Renjo far better than Aino ever could. Aino asks what she means. Tamoka explains that she is warning Aino not to get too deeply involved with someone as flawed as Renjo. She describes him as the kind of person who abandons his fiancée and runs away when things become difficult. Throughout this, Renjo stays silent, unable to defend himself. Aino responds that she does not know what truly happened between Renjo and Tamoka in the past, but she cannot accept the idea that Renjo is a bad person. Tamoka questions her, assuming that Aino is simply refusing to believe her words, despite knowing Renjo for so long. Aino replies that what she believes in is not the Renjo of the past, but the Renjo standing in front of her now, the kind-hearted person she sees today. Tamoka warns Aino that if she ends up regretting her choice, she should not blame anyone else. Aino calmly replies that she will not regret it, because she is not the same as Tamoka. Tamoka accepts this, admitting that she does share a past with Renjo as both his childhood friend and former fiancé, while Aino does not. Aino then says that although she is only Renjo's classmate right now and can never become his childhood friend, she can become his fiancé. Both Renjo and Tamoka are stunned by her words. With her sapphire blue eyes fixed firmly on Renjo, Aino clearly states her wish to become his fiancé. In the past, Renjo had a fiancée who was also his childhood friend, and that relationship remains a painful memory for him. His childhood friend's family belongs to one of the largest and most powerful corporate groups in Japan. Because Renjo and his childhood friend are also cousins, His parents decide to cancel the engagement between him and Tamoka. After Renjo's parents divorce, he goes to live with Tamoka's family. During that time, Renjo truly cares for his childhood friend and firmly decides to become someone worthy of standing beside her. However, a serious incident eventually destroys their relationship. Renjo is forced to leave the house, and the engagement plan disappears without a trace. The story then returns to the present. Aino repeats that while she cannot be Renjo's childhood friend, she can become his fiancée. She says that she wants to be someone who brings him peace and reassurance. Later, at a cafe, Renjo and Aino order a single iced coffee with ice cream, meant to be shared between the two of them. Renjo is surprised to realize that the order is for both of them. Aino briefly checks his reaction, but Renjo does not refuse. Aino comments that the situation somehow feels like a date. Renjo apologizes for bringing her to a place like this. Aino becomes flustered, her face turning red, and sharply states that this does not mean she wants to go on a date with him. For Renjo, this meeting is not a date, but a chance to understand what Aino truly meant earlier, especially when she said she feels happy simply because Renjo invited her. Renjo also finds it hard to believe that something as serious as an engagement could really happen. At the same time, he remembers seeing Tamoka walk away earlier with a confused expression, something he rarely sees from her. Renjo then asks Aino directly about her intention to make him her fiancé, suspecting it might be a joke. From his point of view, if it was only said to provoke Tamoka, then it would not matter much. He also doubts that someone as shy as Aino would go that far without reason. After a short pause, Aino says that she is completely serious. She explains that inviting him to lunch earlier was part of that intention. Renjo asks why she would do such a thing. Aino says that she acted on impulse after hearing Tamoka speak badly about Renjo, and in that emotional moment, she brought up the idea of engagement. Even as she explains, she feels that her reason still sounds incomplete. To Renjo, the entire situation feels incredibly confusing. He begins to suspect that there must be a deeper reason why Aino needs a fiancé, even if it is only in name. This leads him to wonder if she is being pressured into marrying someone else. Aino is startled by this idea. Renjo explains that he cannot think of any other reasonable explanation. Even if Aino has some feelings for him, he believes she would not suddenly suggest an engagement without a strong reason. He also realizes that Aino seems unaware of his past engagement with Tamoka. This convinces him further that there is a serious reason she has not yet told him. Aino asks if Renjo knows that she was born in Finland, and he confirms that he does. She then explains that her mother manages the Japanese branch of a Finnish company and serves as its head. However, the company has been suffering ongoing losses and now needs financial support in Japan. Renjo quickly understands the condition behind that support. Aino must become engaged to a relative of the president of the company offering the funding. Renjo thinks this idea is outdated and rooted in old-fashioned values. He also assumes that Aino plans to name him as her fiancé, so she can reject the proposal altogether. Suddenly, Aino slams her hand on the table. She says that if she can prove she already has a fiancé, the other side will likely accept it. She asks Renjo to help her for now, adding that she does not want to cause him trouble. Renjo wonders why she chose him, thinking that there are many other men she could ask. Still, he decides that he needs more information first. He asks for the name of the company offering financial support. Aino shows him the company's website. When Renjo sees the name, he is shocked. It is the Kono Group, a company owned by Tamoka's family. That means the person Aino is being pressured to marry belongs to the Kono family. Renjo suddenly remembers that he still has a connection to the Kono family. He decides to make a call to confirm the situation. He contacts Takeda Fuyuka, the Kono family's secretary. Fuyuka handles communication between Renjo and the Kono family and acts as his guardian in practice. Fuyuka answers the phone and comments that Renjo has not contacted her in a long time, which made her feel lonely. Renjo hesitates, then tries to ask her something. Fuyuka already guesses the reason for his call and apologizes for not telling him sooner. When Renjo asks what she means, Fuyuka assumes he is pretending not to know and asks if he has already heard about Aino Luthi. Renjo is shocked that she knows about Aino. Fuyuka laughs and says that Renjo is truly lucky to have such a beautiful, blonde-haired, blue-eyed fiancé. Renjo is completely stunned when Fuyuka reveals that the Kono family plans to make him Aino's fiancé. This is the first time Renjo hears about the plan, and he immediately asks why he was chosen. Fuyuka apologizes for keeping him in the dark. Renjo feels that the feelings of the people directly involved are being ignored. Fuyuka replies that the world is unfair by nature and that this is simply how reality works. She says that political marriages are outdated, but admits that this decision follows the will of the family head. When Renjo was removed from the Kono core family, he believed they had no expectations of him at all. Now, it becomes clear that the Kono family still intends to make use of him. Renjo feels that the real victim is Aino, who is being forced into an engagement for the sake of others. Fuyuka explains that everything depends on Renjo. She says that all he needs to do is act like the perfect fiancé. If Aino ends up falling in love with him, then there will be no problem. Renjo finds this logic completely unreasonable. Fuyuka insists that Renjo can handle it, and teasingly adds that if she were in Aino's place, she would be very happy. Renjo asks her to stop joking and requests time to think. He feels overwhelmed and does not know how to explain everything to Aino. Just then, Renjo notices Aino speaking with two young men. When he walks over, Aino immediately calls him by his given name, Toru. Without hesitation, she grabs his arm and introduces him as the person she is currently dating. Renjo understands the situation right away and plays along, calling Aino his girlfriend. The two men soon leave. Renjo tells Aino that they are gone, but she does not let go of his arm. She admits that she was scared. Renjo apologizes for letting her face such a situation. Aino thanks him sincerely. Renjo notices how close she is acting, just like a real couple. Aino explains that this kind of thing happens to her often, which is why she wants someone who can protect her. After a short moment, Aino remembers the arranged engagement involving the Kono family and asks Renjo about it. Renjo feels dizzy and conflicted, unsure how to answer. After taking a deep breath, he finally tells her the truth. The person the Kono family wants her to marry is him. Aino is visibly shocked. Renjo explains his connection to the Kono family in detail. Aino never imagined such a link. Renjo understands her reaction, especially since the Kono group is known for forcing outdated traditions. Aino clarifies that her surprise is not about the arrangement itself, but about Renjo being chosen as her fiancé. Renjo admits that he is just as shocked. Aino begins to feel that this situation might be fate. If Renjo is her fiancé, then everything could finally be solved. Renjo wonders if that means Aino truly wants to marry him. Aino explains that it does not necessarily mean she loves him romantically. Renjo knows that Aino hates being forced into marriage with someone she dislikes. Feeling embarrassed, Aino admits that if the partner is Renjo, she does not mind marrying him. She explains that her feelings are not sudden or strange. It is because they are the same age, they have grown closer, and Renjo is a kind person. More than anything, she feels that he understands her. Renjo says honestly that he is not sure he truly understands her yet, and wonders if it is really okay for him to be that person. Aino replies that if Renjo is willing to try to understand her from now on, then that alone is enough. She clearly says that she wants to marry him. Renjo is shocked that Aino would agree to marry him even without being in love. At the same time, he understands that under these circumstances, he may be the best possible choice. The Kono family and Aino's mother likely expect the same outcome. Everything now rests on Renjo's decision. His heart fills with uncertainty as he begins to question what he truly wants. Earlier that day, Aino suddenly proposed to him at school without warning. Later, she repeated the proposal again when they stopped at a cafe after classes. Aino starts to think that Renjo does not want to accept. Renjo explains that he is not rejecting her, but that something this serious needs careful thought. Aino replies that she has already thought it through completely. Renjo questions her again, and she gives the same firm answer. Still, Renjo feels unable to fully trust her words, thinking she might be acting on impulse. Renjo then asks whether Aino would be able to have a family with him in the future. Aino is startled and reacts strongly, saying the question goes too far. Renjo insists that this is a realistic issue because marriage naturally carries responsibilities. He asks her to think carefully about what marriage truly means. After a short pause, Aino answers that she's capable of it. This shocks Renjo. She adds that she would not refuse such closeness if Renjo wanted it, but only after marriage. Renjo originally wanted to make Aino reconsider. Instead, the conversation moves further than he expected. He realizes that Aino is speaking with a level of determination he did not anticipate. She then asks whether Renjo himself wants such a future. At that moment, she notices that Renjo's eyes linger on her for a second. Realizing this, Aino quickly covers herself and points it out. Renjo tries to deny it, but Aino does not believe him and calls him dishonest, reminding him that he is still a man. Renjo admits to himself that he would be lying if he said he was not affected. He knows it would be strange not to react when someone like Aino is standing in front of him. He stops himself from thinking any further, fully aware that it's impossible not to be drawn to Aino's strikingly beautiful face. Even though Renjo cannot say it out loud, Aino urges him to finish what he was about to say. Instead, Renjo asks her to forget it completely. Aino refuses and insists that she cannot ignore it unless he explains himself, especially after the way he looked at her. Overcome with embarrassment, Renjo says that he never said he wanted to be engaged to Aino and asks for time to think everything through. Aino agrees to give him time, but firmly reminds him that she wants to marry him and asks him to keep that fact in mind.
Hey guys, sorry for mid-editing, but I noticed a lot of you are watching my videos without subscribing. Our subscribe ratio is literally close to 0. I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. It helps a lot. Thanks. Now, back to the recap.
The next day at school, Renjo is still distracted by what happened. Suddenly, he is greeted by Sakurai Asuka, who taps him on the shoulder from behind. She quickly notices that Renjo seems unmotivated, while Renjo notes that Sakurai is as energetic as ever. Sakurai is driven by her desire to surpass Tamoka. Sakurai Asuka is Renjo's classmate, whom he has known since middle school. She is cheerful, popular, and full of energy. Despite her bright personality, her academic rank is currently second, just below Tamoka. Even in a one-on-one student council election, Sakurai loses to Tamoka, which causes her to see Tamoka as her rival. At first, Sakurai only approaches Renjo to get information about Tamoka. However, Renjo no longer has any contact with Tamoka and believes he is no longer useful to her. Unexpectedly, Sakurai asks if Tamoka has a fatal weakness that could make her lose instantly. Renjo asks for an example, and Sakurai explains that Tamoka is supposedly terrified of snakes and could faint just by seeing one. Renjo has never heard this before and suspects that Sakurai would not be satisfied with winning by exploiting such a weakness alone. Sakurai admits that she understands this and says she likes the way Renjo thinks. Renjo hopes she is not teasing him, but Sakurai insists she is serious. She is determined to defeat Tamoka in the next exam and take the position of student council president. Renjo comments that Sakurai sounds like a villain. She calls him rude and claims that she stands for justice, arguing that Tamoka is the real villain. Renjo disagrees, saying that Tamoka has never done anything evil. Sakurai insists that someone with such a perfectly composed face looks more like a villain. Frustrated, she asks which side Renjo is on. Renjo replies that he is on Sakurai's side, which makes her blush and thank him sincerely. Encouraged, Sakurai declares that she will defeat Tamoka for Renjo's sake. After Sakurai leaves, Aino approaches Renjo and offers to help since it is his turn for classroom duty. Renjo declines, saying he is fine on his own. Aino understands and prepares to leave. Just as Renjo is about to go, Aino leans in and quietly asks if he's willing to marry her. Shocked, Renjo steps back instinctively. He worries that even if no one nearby heard, it could become a serious issue if someone did. Aino leaves with a gentle smile. Even this brief moment causes Renjo to draw jealous looks from the other boys. He becomes anxious about the possibility of Sakurai finding out and wonders what she might say if she does. Later in the library, Renjo thinks about why Aino is acting this way. He knows that if Aino does not become engaged to him, she will be forced to marry a complete stranger. He wonders if being engaged to him can truly save her. Ever since being cast out from the Kono family, no one has needed him. But now, Aino does. Renjo realizes that the reason he's reading a book about Finland is because he wants to know more about Aino. He quickly denies this thought and tells himself that he is just curious. The book says Finland is a small country with a population of about 5 million, where blonde hair and blue eyes are common. This reminds him of Aino's own appearance. He also learns that women taller than 170 centimeters are common there, meaning Aino is actually quite petite by comparison. In the end, Renjo realizes that his thoughts always return to Aino. Suddenly, Aino catches him and asks what he's reading. Renjo quickly closes the book, which makes her question him. He says it is private. Aino suspects he is reading something inappropriate, but Renjo denies it, saying he would never read such things in a library. Aino then assumes he reads them at home instead, and adds that if he marries her, he will not need those kinds of books anymore. Realizing how her words sound, Aino quickly explains that she does not mean anything strange. Renjo asks what she means, and Aino reminds him that he himself said the day before that he wanted to have a child with her. Renjo feels deeply embarrassed as Aino Luthi speaks loudly enough for everyone in the library to hear. He quickly denies ever saying such a thing, but Aino firmly insists that he did. Renjo explains that he only said it in the context of marriage. Aino replies that if Renjo marries her, she would not mind him wanting that, since she has already said so before. Even so, Renjo feels it still sounds strange. Aino then asks again if Renjo is willing to become engaged to her. Renjo hears the same question once more. On this single day alone, he has already lost count of how many times the topic has come up. At that moment, another girl appears. It is Sakurai. She says she heard rumors that Renjo told Aino he wanted to have a child with her. Renjo panics and insists there was a reason he said that, but he struggles to explain it clearly. Sakurai says she has noticed Renjo and Aino growing very close recently and asks them to explain themselves if there is a reason behind it. She directly asks what is really going on between them. As Sakurai looks confused, Aino calmly calls her name. Both Sakurai and Renjo turn toward her. Aino then clearly states that she intends to marry Renjo. Sakurai is shocked and asks her to repeat that, unable to fully understand what she just heard. Aino explains that if two people plan to marry, then having children is not strange or inappropriate. Sakurai then asks why Renjo and Aino must get married. Renjo answers that it is related to family matters. Sakurai says she understands his explanation, but it still does not make sense to her. Arranged or political marriages should not exist in this era. Renjo admits that, even if it sounds outdated, that is the reality they are facing. Sakurai says that this is not what truly confuses her. What she cannot understand is how Renjo and Aino can accept such a sudden and unreasonable engagement. Renjo thinks that Sakurai is right. The engagement was decided so suddenly that neither of them had time to consider their true feelings. Aino suddenly asks Sakurai if she has feelings for Renjo. Sakurai is shocked and asks why Aino would think that. Aino admits she cannot explain it clearly, but she feels that way and wants an honest answer. Sakurai responds that this does not mean she likes Renjo. Aino asks again if that is really true. Sakurai raises her voice and says nothing has been decided yet. Renjo steps in and reminds them that they are in a library and this is not the right place to argue. Aino then says that in that case, she no longer needs to hold back around Sakurai because she truly wants to marry Renjo. Sakurai questions her, pointing out that Aino is not even dating Renjo and that there is no proof Renjo has feelings for her. To Sakurai, marrying without love feels wrong and unnatural. Aino wonders if it is really that strange. She believes she is simply choosing the best path to achieve happiness. Sakurai asks if this best path means getting engaged to Renjo. Aino answers that it's much better than being forced into an arranged marriage with someone else. Sakurai accuses Aino of using Renjo and tells her that it is not right. Aino replies that this is exactly why she is asking Renjo to marry her. She also says that she does not dislike him. Then she asks Sakurai to support their relationship if Sakurai truly has no romantic feelings for him. Sakurai is completely stunned. After a short silence, she apologizes and leaves the library suddenly. Aino then looks at Renjo with a sharp gaze and comments that Sakurai is very beautiful. She warns him not to be unfaithful after they are married. Renjo feels confused and wonders if Aino is jealous. He still cannot fully understand her true feelings toward her. At the same time, Renjo makes it clear that he has not yet decided whether he will marry or become engaged to her. Aino responds that until Renjo makes a decision, she will continue to ask him again and again. Once more, she asks if he is willing to marry her. Renjo feels like he has heard those same words countless times. He thinks that if he firmly rejected her, she would eventually stop asking. Yet, even so, he does not understand why he cannot bring himself to clearly refuse her. Renjo then notices that the book he was reading is no longer on the table. At that moment, Aino asks if he's reading a book about Finland, just because she is Finnish. Renjo replies that he is genuinely interested in the country itself and wonders if she will believe that explanation. Aino makes it clear that she does not believe Renjo at all. She then asks if he is actually curious about her as a person. Renjo realizes how easily she can see through his thoughts. Aino explains that the divorce rate in Finland is higher than in Japan. Renjo is surprised because he did not know this. Aino then reveals that her parents are already divorced. Renjo shares that his own parents are also divorced. Aino adds that her name comes from the water goddess Aino in Finnish mythology. She tells the story of the goddess Aino, who is arranged to marry an older god by her mother. The goddess cries and strongly resists the marriage, but no one listens to her objections. As Renjo listens, he understands that the goddess's situation is very similar to Aino's current situation. Renjo asks what happens to the goddess in the end. Aino explains that the goddess Aino throws herself into a lake and dies. It is a tragic story that many people know. Aino then says that she is different from the goddess because she has Renjo. To her, Renjo is the hero who does not exist in that myth. Renjo replies that he cannot be a hero. He says he was not even able to save his childhood friend in the past. Aino gently takes Renjo's hand and tells him not to speak badly about himself. She believes that if they face their problems together, they will be strong. Aino truly wants Renjo to marry her. For Renjo, this is already the 6th time she has said it, and his answer has not changed. He explains that he is still 16 years old, and under Japanese law, they cannot legally marry. Aino then asks him to become her official fiancé instead. She says that would be enough for her. Renjo feels that this arrangement sounds reasonable. It would only be a formal engagement on paper. Still, he wonders if Aino truly believes that a formal engagement is enough, and whether he himself can treat it as nothing more than that. Renjo does not want Aino to become someone precious to him only to lose her again, but he also does not have the strength to simply ignore everything. At last, Renjo makes his decision. He says that he will become Aino's fiancé. Aino reacts as if she can hardly believe what she just heard. Renjo explains that if, in the future, the situation can be solved in another way, they can cancel the engagement since it is only formal. Until then, Aino asks him to treat her as his fiancée. Filled with happiness, Aino thanks him deeply. She then whispers a short sentence and finishes speaking. When Renjo asks what she said, Aino replies that she will tell him someday, when he truly marries her. The next day, Renjo and Aino visit the Kono family residence. The mansion is so large that it leaves Aino in awe, while Renjo feels nervous and uneasy. The Kono family is a powerful business family that owns a major corporate group in Nagoya. This house is also where Renjo's mother was born. It is the home of Tamoka Kono, Renjo's childhood friend and former fiancé. Even though their visit is only to complete the procedures for the engagement, the situation feels very awkward for Renjo. They are welcomed by Fuyuka. Renjo says it has been a long time since they last met. Fuyuka replies that it has been much longer than that. She suddenly hugs Renjo and says he should visit her more often. Renjo is shocked by the hug. Fuyuka laughs and says she used to hug him like this all the time in the past. Renjo then notices that Aino is watching them. Fuyuka greets Aino politely and introduces herself properly. Aino asks about Fuyuka's relationship with Renjo. Fuyuka teasingly asks if Aino is curious. Aino confidently says that she is Renjo's fiancée. Fuyuka smiles and tells her not to worry. She explains that Renjo is like a younger brother to her. Then she jokingly suggests that Aino might want to hug Renjo too. Aino admits that she might want to try it, which shocks Renjo. Fuyuka gently pushes Renjo forward and encourages Aino, saying the timing feels perfect. She says she is sure Renjo also wants to hold Aino. Renjo admits that it is true, but before he can finish his sentence, Aino interrupts him and asks if he would mind. Renjo quickly answers that he would not mind at all. In fact, deep down he feels that he might even enjoy it. He notices that although Aino's figure is not as mature as Fuyuka's, it has its own charm. Aino notices his gaze and becomes irritated. She points out that he is staring at her chest and asks if he is comparing her to Fuyuka. She firmly says that she is still growing. Aino then asks Renjo to hug her first, as a way of apologizing. Watching them, Fuyuka smiles and says that youth is truly beautiful. Renjo remembers that he once hugged Aino before when she almost fell at a bookstore, but that moment was an accident. He has never thought about holding her the way someone would hold a girlfriend. Now, however, Aino is officially his fiancée. The atmosphere between them has already changed beyond his control. When Renjo gently places his hand on Aino's shoulder, she suddenly lets out a small cry. Renjo quickly explains that he is only touching her shoulder. Aino says she understands, but it still feels embarrassing. She looks at him with a vulnerable expression, as if she might be completely overwhelmed. Renjo realizes that if she keeps looking at him like that, he might do more than just hug her. At that moment, Tamoka appears and comments that they seem to be having fun. Just when one complicated situation ends, another begins. Renjo feels like they have been caught and thinks they should leave immediately. But Aino grabs his shirt to stop him and then wraps her arms around his arm. Renjo is shocked. Aino says she does not want Renjo to feel awkward around Tamoka, since the two of them are already engaged. Renjo sees a frightening expression on Tomoka's face. Still, he cannot push Aino away while she is holding him. Besides, Tamoka should be the one who hates him, so he starts wondering why she looks so angry. Aino then says that if she were not engaged to Renjo, he should not want to hold her like this. Renjo is stunned. He also remembers that Tamoka once wanted to hug him before. He does not respond. Aino then directly asks Tamoka if she is jealous. Tamoka becomes irritated and shouts that she could never be jealous of Aino. Renjo notices that Tomoka's expression is very different from her usual calm and perfect appearance. Aino then says they can continue the hug later, since she is Renjo's fiancé and can hug him anytime. She also says she feels uncomfortable with Tamoka standing there. Tamoka suddenly says that since Aino has only just met Renjo, she has never taken a bath with him. Aino is shocked and quickly says of course she has never done that, but she then accidentally imagines bathing together with Renjo, which makes Renjo even more flustered. Tamoka continues by saying that she is not only Renjo's former fiancé, but also someone who used to live with him. She says they have even taken baths together before. Renjo starts wondering what exactly the two of them are arguing about. Aino asks Tamoka directly if she really bathed together with Renjo. Tamoka hesitates, but admits that she did, when they were children. Aino asks how old they were at the time. Tamoka answers that the last time they bathed together was in 6th grade. She adds that back then, Renjo looked at her with a lecherous gaze. Renjo immediately denies it and says he never looked at Tamoka like that. Aino questions him again, pointing out that 6th grade is not exactly being a small child anymore. Renjo insists it is not true. Tamoka says that if that is the case, it only makes her more annoyed. Aino suddenly panics and says she has changed her mind. She wants to keep hugging Renjo right now. She also wants to live in the same house as him, and even take baths together. Fuyuka, who hears this, says that sounds like a good idea. She suggests that Renjo and Aino take a bath together tomorrow because it would strengthen their bond as a couple. Renjo and Aino shout at the same time that they could never do something like that. Then they look at each other and fall silent. Renjo begins thinking about how he and Tamoka have been together since childhood. Fuyuka then calmly says that Renjo and Aino can do it because starting tomorrow, they will be living in the same house. Renjo is shocked. He did not know he would start living together with Aino the very next day. Fuyuka laughs and says it is completely normal since they are already engaged. She adds that the Kono family will prepare everything for them. The house they will live in is a luxurious mansion. Renjo says that this is not the real problem. He explains that he and Aino are still in high school. He worries that he might be expelled if their relationship is seen as inappropriate. Fuyuka tells him to calm down. She explains that the Kono family is the largest donor to the high school and has strong influence over the school's decisions. Renjo cannot believe it. He feels that something wrong should not become right just because of money or status. Fuyuka firmly explains that when the Kono family declares something to be acceptable, the school follows. The family has enough power to change decisions and reshape rules as they wish. She also adds that permission from Aino's mother has already been arranged. All family and school matters have been settled. Because of this, starting the next day, Renjo and Aino will officially be allowed to spend time together without restriction. Aino becomes irritated when she hears this. No one told her about such an important decision. Fuyuka explains that the order comes from the head of Tomoka's family, who is currently away. That makes Tamoka the acting representative for today. Tamoka is shocked when she realizes that their visit is mainly to formalize the decision, allowing Renjo and Aino to live together. Renjo is also surprised since Tamoka herself did not know the full details beforehand. Tamoka can only warn them not to behave inappropriately. Renjo promises that he has no intention of crossing any lines. Tamoka then starts worrying about the risk of Renjo sharing a room with someone as attractive as Aino. Aino calmly adds that Renjo might be tempted to act on impulse. This comment irritates Tamoka. She turns an angry look toward Aino, feeling that she is taking the matter too lightly. Tamoka tells her to be careful and reminds her how serious this situation is. Aino asks what exactly she needs to be careful about. Tamoka explains that she must be cautious in case she is pressured into doing something beyond her limits. Aino confidently says that Renjo would never do something like that. Tamoka warns her not to be naive. She says all men have instincts and asks if Renjo has ever looked at Aino in a strange way. Aino honestly admits that Renjo once glanced at her chest and once made a comment about wanting to have a child with her. This shocks Tamoka, Fuyuka, and Renjo at the same time. Renjo quickly says it was a misunderstanding. Tamoka immediately tells Fuyuka that Renjo cannot be trusted and that this living arrangement should not happen. Fuyuka laughs and admits that Tomoka's concerns are not completely unreasonable. Tamoka continues, saying that if Renjo and Aino live together, Aino herself might do something unexpected. Aino calmly replies that she does not see any problem with that. Renjo and Tamoka are both stunned. Aino explains that if it involves Renjo, she is willing to let him do whatever he wants. She says she does not mind at all, even though they are still in high school. Tamoka strongly objects and says that is absolutely unacceptable. Aino argues that she and Renjo are engaged. In her eyes, that makes the situation different. She plans to marry him in the future, so she sees nothing improper about it. Renjo then points out that Aino's body is pressed closely against his. Aino openly admits that she is doing it on purpose. This completely frustrates Tamoka. She can no longer hide her anger. She asks Fuyuka to step in and scold them, warning that their behavior could cause serious trouble, especially since they are still students. Fuyuka laughs again, but agrees that Tamoka has a point. She advises Renjo and Aino to think carefully and act responsibly. Tamoka clarifies that her concern is not about personal feelings. It is about rules, As long as they are still in high school, certain behavior is forbidden. Acting beyond one's age is not allowed. Fuyuka simply smiles, thinking that Tamoka is surprisingly strict and innocent in her way of thinking. Then Fuyuka calls Renjo's name. He answers respectfully. She tells him to treat Aino properly and with care. Renjo understands. He accepts that responsibility, knowing that Aino is his fiancée. Even if they live in the same house, Renjo has no intention of doing anything inappropriate, especially anything that could cause Aino trouble. To him, that idea is unthinkable. For Renjo, the engagement is only a formality. He and Aino are not truly a romantic couple. Tamoka explains that the decision for Renjo and Aino to live together comes from her father. It has already been approved by the head of the family. However, she firmly warns Renjo that if anything happens because of this arrangement, she will never forgive him. Her words make Renjo panic. He understands how serious she is. Tamoka then reminds him that she is his former fiancée. Because of their past, she cannot accept a future where Renjo finds happiness alone while leaving her behind. She makes it clear that she would never forgive him for that. Aino tightens her grip on Renjo's arm and gives Tamoka a sharp look. She openly says that she wants Renjo to be happy. Then she looks at Renjo and makes it clear that she intends to be the one who gives him that happiness. Tamoka asks what Renjo himself is capable of doing in this situation. At that moment, Aino notices that Tamoka has been calling Renjo by his first name the whole time. Realizing her mistake, Tamoka quickly covers her mouth, clearly troubled. Aino directly asks if Tamoka still has feelings for Renjo. Tamoka immediately denies it, saying that is impossible. But the emotional pressure becomes too much for her, and she suddenly leaves. After she is gone, Fuyuka smiles and comments that Tamoka has a surprisingly cute side. She says she will handle the remaining matters. Aino then asks Renjo why his engagement with Tamoka was cancelled. Renjo admits that he was the one who disappointed her. Aino becomes curious and listens carefully. Renjo explains that their engagement was arranged by their parents, who are relatives. In the past, Tamoka often became sick and stayed isolated. Renjo's role was to stay by her side and protect her. He once promised that he would always protect her and never leave her alone, but he admits that he broke that promise. In their first year of middle school, Tamoka, as the daughter of a major corporation, was kidnapped for ransom. Renjo was also caught up in the incident. Aino reacts in shock, realizing how serious that is. Renjo explains that the police and media kept the case secret, so it never became public news. During the kidnapping, Renjo had a chance to escape by himself. In that moment, he chose to save himself. He ran away without trying to rescue Tamoka. He says he is grateful that the police arrived in time and rescued Tamoka safely, but his actions deeply disappointed the Kono family. Because of that, the engagement was cancelled. Aino argues that Renjo was only a middle school student. Anyone in that situation would probably have done the same. Renjo disagrees. He says that a fiancé who promises to protect someone but runs away instead deserves disappointment. He openly admits that this is the kind of person he is. Then he asks Aino if she can still accept marrying someone like him. Aino says the situation is unfair. She points out that Renjo has always tried to protect Tamoka alone. She asks what Tamoka has ever done for him in return. Renjo cannot answer. Aino continues, saying that Renjo carries everything by himself. When he fails just once, everyone condemns him. She thinks that is cruel. She tells him she wants to become his source of strength, even though she herself also needs support. Because Renjo is such a kind person, she feels an even stronger desire to live together with him. Renjo reminds her that he is a man. Aino calmly replies that they are already engaged. She even asks if he would hug her every day if they lived together. She goes further, saying she wants to share even more intimate daily moments, so their relationship can grow deeper. Renjo firmly says he has no intention of doing such things. Even so, Aino quietly says she would not mind if she became pregnant with Renjo's child. She repeats it to show how serious she is.
Please!
Subscribe.
I need this! My mom is kind of homeless.